Do not obey. Zombie talk. I've seen some fish you cannot explain. What's up, guys? It's me, Do Not Obey, and let's get into another video. Now, this video is about witchcraft, but I'm trying to get it out there, allegedly, okay, that the reason why the powers that be are able to be how they are is because, for one, allegedly, they're really, really old and renowned. Like, they're really old, over billions of years old, thousands, billions, whatever, okay? Two, they know magic. They've stole a lot of the magic on the people that originated from this planet, on top of magic from other sources that are out there and different beings, allegedly. What if all evil, alleged beings came together to control one piece of a little dome on top of a whole realm system, allegedly, right? And we call this planet Earth, allegedly. Let's check this out. A lot of people aren't going to believe it. A lot of people are just going to laugh it off like they've done my whole life. But this world is fake. Allegedly. Magic is real. Allegedly. And it's not just for entertainment purposes only. It can be used to control a whole society and system. So, hope you guys enjoy. Do not obey. Stay woke. Peace.
Patel was on live TV, told y'all that witchcraft exists in Washington, D.C., and y'all still think it's a hoax. Baby, if you have not done the research, you need to go look at the CIA gateway process. It will tell you everything that you need to know. When I tell y'all that these people know who you are before you know who you are, there is a reason that the same people have been in the government for a very long time, okay? These people are not elected. They are chosen, all right? If you were one of those people who ever tried to land a government job and you just could not get it for whatever reason, you had every credential under the sun, but yet somebody that you know, a friend, family member, whatever, wound up landing a job and they do not have as many credentials as you have, the reason is because they don't have the credentials, but they have the gift. Like I said, these people know who you are before you know who you are, all right? It's the reason why they want so much blood work at the doctors. It's the reason why... I ain't gonna go there, but trust me, it is a whole lot going on in the government. There are witches and warlocks in the government, okay? Y'all, this shit is more darker and sinister and deeper than you can ever imagine. Y'all better go do that research and start going down that rabbit hole. Kash Patel was on live TV, told y'all that witchcraft exists in Washington, D.C., and y'all still think it's a hoax. Baby, if you have not done the research, you need to go look at the CIA gateway process. It will tell you everything that you need to know. When I tell y'all that these people know who you are before you know who you are, there is a reason that the same people have been in the government for a very long time, okay? These people are not elected. They are chosen, all right? If you were one of those people who ever tried to land a government job and you just could not get it for whatever reason, you had every credential under the sun, but yet somebody that you know, a friend, family member, whatever, wound up landing a job and they do not have as many credentials as you have, the reason is because they don't have the credentials, but they have the gift. Like I said, these people know who you are before you know who you are, all right? It's the reason why they want so much blood work at the doctors. It's the reason why... I ain't gonna go there, but trust me, it is a whole lot going on in the government. There are witches and warlocks in the government, okay? Y'all, this shit is more darker and sinister and deeper than you can ever imagine. Y'all better go do that research and start going down that rabbit hole.
Investigations on lots of senators and staffers, you know about Russiagate? Because of mine and Devin's work from back in day. And we're going to continue those investigations, and you bet we have ongoing criminal investigations on both those fronts. Because the guy who launched Russiagate, me, as a senior staffer back in House Intel, is now the director of the FBI, and I'm not going to end this mission without destroying and leveling the full weaponization that occurred before I got here.
Finally, I know you got to go, but are you hopeful about the future of the FBI Given that institutional resistance and given the fact that there are obviously still deep state actors working against you, are you hopeful?
Sure. I'm more than hopeful. What I don't listen to is the swamp, and you know that better than anybody. What I do listen to is when I travel across the country, and the communities of men and women around the country are coming up to us, not just the FBI employees, but the community is saying, we have never felt safer, we appreciate the work you're doing, especially safeguarding our children and our youth and our national security, and putting violent offenders in prison where they belong. I listen to the voices of Americans across the country, so does this administration. What I do not listen to and never will listen to is the witchcraft that goes on in Washington, D.C., because that's what they have left, and they're going to sell their pamphlets and try to raise money off of it. But my mission and this mission,
that is weird. Did he just say what?
And
no.
We are going to execute it every single day. Hope is not a strategy.
Bro,
the mission of this FBI that we've laid out is.
This dude just said there's witchcraft that happens in Washington, D.C.
Don't be a stranger. Thank you so much.
Attributes of the devil is to steal, to kill, to destroy homes, families, children, businesses, just everything. And you can see how much our society has gone to a place where it's just so dark and demonic. There are just two forces in the world, God and the devil. Human beings are in the greater balance of power in the universe. There's the power of God and there's the power of the devil. Human beings don't have power. We have authority. Let that sink in. We don't have power like the devil. We don't have power like God. We have authority. And if we give our authority to God, God intervenes in the world. If we give our authority to the devil intervenes and messes up our world. So the reason why our world is so crazy is because human beings have failed to give their authority to God.
Interesting.
You know, people think that I don't have to believe in the devil and I don't have to believe in God either. Great deception for you to believe that as a human being you can survive on your own. There is no such thing. Human beings don't have ability. That is why, Lara, you find out that people that don't have any God will worship a rock. They'll worship a tree. They'll find something to worship. Because there's something in every human being that's supposed to worship God. And if you don't worship, that is why there are all kinds of religions, all kinds of things people worship. There is something in you that will never find peace till you find more meaning. You find a spiritual meaning. So, you know, one of the things is that most people's idea of God is according to the precepts of men. If you don't read the Bible and you're grounded in the Bible, you will be deceived. You will be worshiping some God that is not the God of the Bible, and you might as well be worshiping an idol. Because not every bad thing that is happening to you is the devil. It's sometimes people are actually reaping the reward of what they sow.
Wicca for beginners. This is crazy. Love spells, book of magic. This is pretty much a witchcraft store. This ain't no difference than going to the Botanica or Voodoo shop. And this is in the mall, bro. Look at this. This ain't no difference than going to the witchcraft store. And this is in the mall at Spencer's. Look. A soapstone grinding kit. Start doing rituals. This is crazy, bro. How could you even think that's good for you? Oh, look at this. Botanical curses and poisons. Bro, look at this.
You see, down here in Louisiana, folks think witches are, you know, them old ladies in the woods with candles and bad attitudes. But nah. The real witches, the real ones, the rich folks hire, they sit in boardrooms, not bayous, okay? See, those elite types, the politicians, the billionaires, the power brokers, they don't get their hands dirty. They hire people who know how to move energy, people who understand timing, symbols, influence, curses, blessings, all that behind the scenes work. They call them consultants these days, or advisors. But what they really are modern day witches. These people pick the dates for big announcements. They run rituals disguised as ceremonies. They set the symbols, the colors, the numbers, and the public don't even catch it. The elites ain't steering no cauldrons, they steering narratives, and the witches they hire, they're the ones whisper, drop it tonight, don't say that tomorrow, move this before the moon shifts, and bro, they listen. Down here, we got mall spirits and old stories. Up there, they got money, ego, and witches on payroll.
Witchcraft in America, Part 2, ladies and gentlemen. The American's DNA is too chaotic. it changes too much for us to identify placement and origin in which where the Americans come from. Where do they come from? So the Americans' DNA is constantly changing, which is why people claim we have no culture, people claim we have no home. Well, this is our home, America. The spiritual practices that Americans are supposed to be doing now, the black Americans and some white Americans, is what we would like to call chaos magic, right? Well, chaos magic is considerably chaos because there are no outside tools that express that a spell or ritual has been done. I'm going to repeat it. There are no outside tools that express a ritual or a spell has been done. That means the American, the African American, and some white Americans have the DNA to use their imagination that is considerably chaos with intention. Using imagination with intentions is our spell work.
All this would happen. Etsy is banning witches from selling spells on their platform, which technically you weren't supposed to sell spells on Etsy since like 2015, but they didn't enforce that shit. But after that situation with CK where he got, you had the Jezebel article that was written like a couple of days beforehand saying that they hired Etsy witches to hex them. And after it happened, there were people getting on social media saying it happened because of their curse and hex that they put on him, which apparently that really upset a few people. But I had told you guys, they're going to start making it more and more difficult if you sell any kind of spiritual goods or services, and that they would accomplish it by making it to where you can't sell it on certain platforms. I've also seen advertisements for law firms taking on clients that may have been harmed by Etsy witches. But look, we have to be totally honest about the situation. There are scammers out there. There were people on Etsy selling spells that they claimed would cure cancer. Also, scammers writing books telling people to do spells to cure cancer. But I don't see the stuff stopping with people who sell spiritual goods and services. The algorithm on TikTok has totally changed. I think many different social media platforms are going to start suppressing any kind of witchcraft or spiritual based content that's not an Abrahamic religion.
Yeah, my grandmother. Yeah, his mother was a witch.
She would go down and get from witchcraft.
Well, she would go. Listen, she had a restaurant. Black people, we do so many things. Catering and all that. So back in the day, you really didn't have a life job. You would do things, and she had a little cafe, a hole in the wall, and she would put dust over the door. So when people came in, the bell would ring, and dust would fall on it.
Oh no!
Yes, they called it goofer dust. Well, right across the street was her competitor, and they would have goofer dust too. So she would go back and forth to down deep south like. New Orleans, all that, where you from, and go get stronger and stronger formulas. Well, one time she came back, and by the way, she would just leave my father, so he'd just be on the streets. One time she came back, and a Mexican family took him in, and he didn't even remember English, and they begged her to let him stay. Let Roberto stay, please, Roberto. They called him Roberto, and she took him. But she came back, and they said she was all twisted up with her head in between her legs, barking like a dog.
Ooh, that voodoo, that root, boy, I'm telling you, have you coughing up frogs.
And they said that the women in the church went to go get my eventual godfather, which was William Griffith, and he came, saw it, he left 3 days, he went and they fast, and they pray, and then they come back, and then they laid hands on her, and they got her through it, and this is the story now. Wow. I'm just telling you what
created the movie, and they invited real witches on the set. And they had the witches, before they would do a scene, to cast spells and to invite the actresses to come into this circle with them while they were releasing spell words over the viewers and over the scene. And people are playing it in their home, and it's entertainment. And Charlene, I always say the first part of entertainment is enter. So be careful what's entering your home.
Witchcraft, you are bowed to the systems of the world. You have bowed. Any of you who are going to Beyonce's concert, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. How dare you call yourself a Christian? I don't care what pastor you got that is okay with it. I don't care what pastor you got that think it's cool. I don't care what pastor you got that singing along to that song. Why you think that man called himself Jehovah? It was short for Jehovah.
The walls are closing in on Beyonce, y'all, because Erykah Badu just exposed her for being a Hollywood high priestess. And y'all cannot believe the people Beyonce allegedly sacrificed to get to this point in her career. Mind you, Erykah Badu is literally a raging witch herself. So the fact that she feels like Beyonce is so demonic that she needs to be exposed tells you what kind of powers Beyonce is getting from Oshun. We all ate up the BS story Bey and her daddy sold us about her working hard, when the whole time she was dabbling in some serious witchcraft. A lot of people weren't surprised that Erykah was putting Beyonce on blast because they had a nasty feud a while ago after Beyonce was caught stealing from Erykah. So basically, during Beyonce's Renaissance World Tour, she wore an outfit that Erykah felt was a replica of one of her outfits. She posted the photos side by side and said in the caption, I guess I'm everybody's stylist. I'm flattered. Now, as you can see, Erykah and Bey do not have a very good relationship, so she didn't hold back when she got word that Bey was doing all these demonic things to people. A lot of people side-eyed Erykah when she exposed Bey's witchcraft, because anyone who has been following Erykah knows she loves messing with that stuff too. However, according to her, she uses hers to help people, while Beyonce allegedly uses hers to destroy other people so she can get ahead in her career. One of those people is apparently her ex-drummer Kimberly Thompson, who accused Beyonce of using extreme witchcraft behind the scenes while they were in the middle of the On the Run 2 tour. She said that when she finally quit working for Beyonce, Beyonce allegedly sent people to harass and threaten her into silence. It hit so bad that she literally had to get a restraining order, but that was still not enough to stop Beyonce. Kimberly even accused Solange of also being part of all that demonic mess.
Nobody said anything about food still. Come to find out, everybody ate. Can you believe that? Everybody ate. Guess what? They all went to a steakhouse.
I pretty much stay off witch talk drama. I don't post that much witch talk content anymore. But apparently, MAGA witches are back. And they're doing hoodoo. And they are not a different complexion of me. They, and I wish them well. I think they should keep doing that hoodoo. I think their results will be hilarious. Also, I've said it before, but you can't be MAGA and a witch. Being a witch is political, and you cannot be on the side of an oppressor and claim to be a witch, because you're not. You can be a magic user, and I'm sure you are a magic user and abuser. But when you don't care about the history, when you don't care what magical practice you're using, when you don't care if you are using rituals and spells that were never meant for you, I don't think you can call yourself a witch as much as you can just say you use magic. But, you know, that's just my opinion.
Before I get out of bed, let me speak on this whole MAGA witches thing. Y'all are the villains in this story, whether you realize it or not. Because you cannot be MAGA and be an actual witch. You are pretending. I said what I said. Do you know why I said that? Because throughout history there have been pagans that sided against other pagans with the church, with royalty, etc. And it never ended well for them. But here in America, you cannot be MAGA and be an actual witch. Without getting too political, if you just look at your own doctrines, at the things that they are passing, without people even knowing that they are passing them, and you actually looked and read every bit of it, then you would see that it goes against every single thing that any person in the witchcraft or pagan community would ever stand for. Throughout history, they would have never stood for this. History is not kind to those people that fall on the wrong side of it. And yeah, you might have shitty ancestors that support you doing all of this, but you also have a spirit court and a lot of other ancestors that would not support it. So just know that it's not just here in this life that you're going to pay that price. It's in the afterlife as well. You want to know why you can't get to the astral if you're a MAGA and you're a witch? Because you're being blocked. Because you are on the wrong side of things. You know it, we know it, they know it. So you go ahead and take granny spells or pop spells or mama's spells. Go ahead and take that old mountain magic and root work, hoodoo, conjure, etc. and you try to use that on the people that are on the right side of history.
Hey TikTok, this is me, Azantes. This is my last video for the night, and I'm going to pre-record my videos because I'm going to be traveling tomorrow. But some just really rubbed me the wrong way. What you mean talking about MAGA witches using hoodoo? Girl, if they ever thought our ancestors was about to move, answer to, or do anything for them, the bitches have lost their mind. Our ancestors, girl, have y'all lost y'all mind? Baby, they don't like y'all. They don't fuck with y'all. They don't fool with y'all. Y'all gonna fuck around like that lady who tried to summon Papa Legba against the black lady. And you remember what happened to her? That's gonna be y'all playing with our damn ancestors. What the fuck is wrong with you people? And see, this is what I be talking about. See, now y'all done got a little too motherfucking entitled for my comfort. Baby, our ancestors will never move for you. Go on and try it. Go ahead. Go ahead, try to play with the hoodoo spirits. You can find out real motherfucking fast how much they don't fool with y'all. You can find out real fast how real shit get. Maybe you can find yourself in a box somewhere. Y'all are the most entitled, self-appropriating, low-life, the things I want to say. Baby, matter of fact, I ain't even finna try and talk y'all. Go ahead, MAGA. We need all the MAGA, y'all. We need all them hoes trying to contact the ancestors, thinking the ancestors gonna help or work for them. We need all them trying to contact them. Matter of fact, y'all need a few suggestions on ancestors to go work with. I can send you to a few. Don't say that I told you everything was gonna go well, but yeah. Baby, y'all better find y'all something safe to do, because now y'all going into real dangerous territory.
Witchcraft is political. Witchcraft has always been, will always be political. Let's discuss. In light of recent events, I'm seeing a lot of witches on this app talk about how witchcraft is used for healing. Witchcraft is kind and gentle. Witchcraft is only about changing the internal world to meet external changes. You are more than welcome to have that opinion. And I am so very happy that your life is so privileged that your witchcraft only will serve those purposes. Witchcraft has always been utilized as a tool of the oppressed and marginalized. Peoples turned to witchcraft when there were no other options to save their life, to put food in their belly, to put a roof over their head, and to take vengeance on overarching political and religious powers that marginalized those groups of people. Witchcraft is inherently political. Witches are innately socially transgressive. That is why we practice witchcraft. We are social outcasts. We are political agents of an agenda that is vehemently always against the people in power. We represent that small group of individuals who do not need, do not care about what the government says, about what overarching religious powers say, because we have our own things. We have our own stuff. Why do you think Christians will say that witches worship the devil? The devil is the adversary. Witches are the adversary to the status quo. Witchcraft is a tool that is utilized to change the circumstances that have been stacked against you. And who is the one that stacks those circumstances? Overarching political powers, overreaching religious powers. That's why marginalized people turned to witchcraft, because they had no other way to change the circumstances. And sometimes the way that they changed those circumstances was to take vengeance on the people who stacked them against them. It is extremely disheartening seeing this commentary coming from generally white, Caucasian practicing witches. It's extremely sad because your witchcraft being utilized for the most minuscule of purposes is coming from a place of privilege. It is. That opinion is very privileged. That high horse that you have put yourself on is extremely privileged. It is. And you've got to recognize that. Witchcraft is political.
3 years worth of brujeria. Yes, you know I gotta scrape all this up. I got my sandblaster, my goggles. It's about to go down. Real witches do real things. Real witches do real things. Oh wait, you can't even see that. You guys see that? I love it. It scares me a lot. Palo Mayombe scares me a lot. You know, dealing with the dead and just fucking having to tend to them and tend to their every need, take care of them and all type of stuff. It's just really scary, you know, like even living under the same roof with a prenda or whatever, just like, it's like sometimes it makes you lose your mind.
You know, we have heard stories here about government officials using witchcraft. Well, what is witchcraft? Witchcraft is aligning with certain universal energies for gain. And you know, that is also part of who you are, isn't it? If you are everything. If you condemn any piece of this, you are condemning a piece of yourself. But I will tell you that unless you are free of an agenda, unless you are free of rational expectations by having shed your past, which can no longer dictate the future, because the past told you that reality was like this, it can no longer dictate what reality is going to be. Unless you are free of rational expectations and rational fears, and unless you are in a place where there is no personal agenda, and you are a master of your thoughts and your feelings, limitless power is not entrusted to you. And I don't care, because you see, I take them on every day. I don't care how many witches you're up against. Yeah, I will not tell you that my son and I haven't suffered some casualties, but love is always stronger. So let's look at love. Each and every one of you, including every planetary body, because in fact, every planetary body, every sun is alive. It is in fact, in frequency, just one octave apart. Your life form as a carbon-based life form is according to the star tetrahedron, which is like a three-dimensional Star of David. That's how your original 8 cells form, which is still at the base of your spine. The only cells that never replace themselves. Your entire mission statement is in those 8 cells at the base of your spine. The silica life form, which is our mother, the earth. Also, the silica and oxygen combines also in the star tetrahedral shape. You see this message often in the crop circles. And I'll tell you a bit about what is happening with the toilet water running the wrong way. Okay, I'll tell you what's happening to the earth. The crop circles are trying to tell us life as you know it
is changing.
The witch that put the curse on Charlie Kirk has spoken out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Jezebel released this article just 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, saying that they paid some Etsy witches to curse him. And obviously, they don't want no smoke with the FBI because since then, they've added this editor's note saying, this story was published on September 8th. Jezebel condemns the shooting of Charlie Kirk in the strongest possible terms. We do not endorse, encourage, or excuse political violence of any kind. Now, as far as the nature of the curse, they weren't trying to cause, fatal harm to him in any way. They more so just wanted him to wake up with a zit, right? They wanted his podcast microphone to malfunction every time he hits record, or his socks to always be sliding down on his foot, petty stuff like that. They really just wanted to inconvenience him and ruin his day, which mission accomplished. They ordered hexes from 3 different witches, with the third's name being mentioned in the article. Her name is Priestess Lilin, who sent proof of the hex, which was a photograph in flames, the edges slowly curving inward, engulfing Charlie's ridiculous scrunched up little face. She whispered, I imagine, trust the unseen. This is the Etsy shop that she and another person run called the Strict Sisters. This is what Priestess Lilin told Metro. I'm just going to read some of it. I would like to say first off that a person's life and death always has weight, and we do not celebrate the loss of life. Skipping down, while we cannot claim literal responsibility for Mr. Kirk's death, we do affirm that the magic we work with is effective. When you work with that in alignment with the collective energy, it can manifest in unthinkable ways. We hope that sums up our stance on this matter. Thank you for visiting our shop.
MAGA witches are using hoodoo, which will absolutely backfire on them. How do I know? Because I am a white witch and I tried working with a closed practice and it backfired for me, and I at least had good intentions. So theirs is going to be way worse repercussions, but this is inspiring me to actually share my experience with this. This was about 10 years ago, and I was just getting into the idea of goddess worship. I was really intrigued and researching different goddesses from across cultures, and a friend of mine recommended Oshun to me. Now, this was not a black friend, this was a white friend. Oshun is an African goddess. She is an Orisha. I really, really wanted something like very specific. My friend was like, make an offering to Oshun. So I looked it up and I was like, okay, I'll bring some oranges and like a sweet sticky bun to the water. And I sat and I prayed to Oshun and I asked her very humbly, like, please grant me this wish. Thank you. And I left the offerings. Well, a couple days go by and I don't get what I wanted. And I was like, dang, brush it off. So a couple weeks later, something else comes upon my radar that I really, really want. And again, I bring an offering to Oshun and I meditate and I'm trying to connect with her at this water. And I ask her, Oshun, I think the first time was just a test. I understand, like, I'm back again. Please grant me this wish. Well, guess what? It doesn't come through. Like, the opposite of what I want to happen happens. And a couple nights later, I have this dream. And I dreamed that Oshun came to me in this dream. And she said, my magic is not for you. My magic is not for your ancestry. And it was so powerful. I didn't feel like she was angry, but it was very matter of fact. And I was like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And so since then, I will leave her offering sometimes, pay respects to her, but I never ask anything of her, and I never will again for the rest of my life. It was really powerful to experience that in a dream, and also to realize, right, as a white person, my ancestry has done a lot of harm. Not all practices are open practices. All that to say, I hope that the MAGA witches that are dabbling in hoodoo really get their asses handed to them. Thank you so much.
Hoodoo practitioner myself, I hear that MAGA witches are practicing hoodoo. I've said it many times that white people are totally open to go practice hoodoo. But I want you to do one thing. There's a slave girl named Chloe. Because you can know to practice hoodoo, you got to use ancestral spirits. And there's a spirit out there named Chloe. And when you channel her, I want you to channel her from the Myrtle's plantation. Don't go look her up. Just channel her.
Out of all practices, out of everything these people could have chose, MAGA witches are practicing hoodoo. Yo, hoodoo's my baby, bro. But let's step back. Let's talk about what hoodoo is. Hoodoo is an African American spiritual practice, and it derives from African spirituality. It's a way of getting physical results while adulating the ancestors of said African Americans. Okay, with that being said, MAGA witches, predominantly, if we're gonna, predominantly, MAGA witches are really out here practicing hoodoo. Whose ancestors are you adulating?
I used to wonder how in the Bible so many people worshipped and idolized statues, animals, the sun, people, certain kings, certain places in nature. Like, I used to wonder, how can they idolize something that is clearly not God, and how can it not come to their brain that they are not, to stop idolizing things that are not obviously worship to God? But then Donald Trump came around, and I was like, oh shoot, like the world is not that much different than the beginning. Like the idolization for this man is, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, there's idolizations of like celebrities and music and sports and all this, but I have never, ever in my life seen anything more idolized than Donald Trump.
To get up and say our prayers, we've got some things to cover today. This is major important stuff. Since America was founded, they have been doing witchcraft on us.